The emergency announcement shattered the calm cabin like a bolt of lightning. Passengers froze in their seats as the captain's strained voice echoed through the aircraft, asking whether there was a qualified combat pilot on board. The silence that followed was heavy with fear. Seat 8A held a tired single father who had spent most of the flight asleep, hoping to forget the weight of the world for just a few hours. Within minutes, that ordinary man would carry hundreds of lives on his shoulders, and the greatest battle of his life would not be fought in the sky but inside his own heart. If you believe kindness, forgiveness, hope, and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to our channel so our community can continue sharing stories that remind us of the strength hidden inside ordinary people. Graham Mercer had not slept properly in months. At 38, he looked older than his years, with silver beginning to creep into his dark hair and exhaustion permanently settled beneath his eyes. The blue backpack beneath seat 8A held nothing expensive, only a few clothes, family photographs, and a handmade birthday card from his 9-year-old daughter, Clara. Every crease in that card reminded him why he kept fighting through life, even when it seemed determined to defeat him. Only 3 years earlier, Graham had been one of the most respected fighter pilots in the Air Force. Flying had never been a job to him. It was freedom, purpose, and identity woven together. But after a tragic training accident claimed the lives of 2 close friends, the guilt refused to let him rest. Though investigators cleared him of responsibility, Graham blamed himself every single day. The nightmares became unbearable, and eventually he resigned from military service. Around the same time, his wife passed away after a long illness, leaving him to raise Clara alone. He traded the cockpit for a quiet maintenance job at a regional airport, choosing predictable routines over danger. Every dollar he earned went toward caring for Clara and helping her chase dreams that had become bigger than either of them. This trip had only one purpose. Clara had been accepted into a specialized medical program that could greatly improve her mobility after years of physical therapy. Graham was flying home after attending the final consultation, carrying hope that his daughter might finally run across a playground one day without pain. Exhaustion overtook him shortly after takeoff. For the first time in weeks, he closed his eyes without hearing the echoes of engines from the past. The bright afternoon sunlight streamed through the aircraft windows, warming the cabin as peaceful clouds drifted beneath the wings. Then everything changed. A violent shudder rippled through the aircraft. Drinks spilled onto tray tables. Oxygen masks remained hidden, but anxious whispers spread quickly. Moments later came the captain's announcement. One of the pilots had suffered a sudden medical emergency while the other was struggling with a serious technical failure that demanded more experience than expected. The captain calmly explained that assistance from any certified combat or commercial pilot could prove critical. Most passengers looked around helplessly. Graham did not move. His heartbeat accelerated as memories he had buried for years forced themselves back into the light. Every instinct told him to stay seated. His hands trembled. He remembered promises made to Clara that he would never return to dangerous flying. He remembered hospital corridors, military funerals, folded flags, and endless regret. The announcement came again, this time carrying unmistakable urgency. Slowly Graham stood. His knees felt weak. Every pair of frightened eyes followed him as he quietly identified himself to a flight attendant. Nobody saw a hero. They saw a tired father wearing worn jeans and an ordinary navy shirt. The crew hurried him toward the cockpit. As the reinforced door closed behind him, the cheerful atmosphere of commercial travel disappeared completely. Warning tones echoed through the cockpit. Instruments demanded immediate attention. The first officer was receiving emergency medical treatment while the captain remained focused on stabilizing the aircraft. A malfunction affecting flight control systems required constant correction, and worsening crosswinds ahead threatened to complicate the emergency landing. The captain glanced at Graham only once before placing absolute trust in a stranger. Years of training returned almost instantly. Muscle memory replaced hesitation. Graham's breathing steadied. His hands rested gently on the controls with remarkable confidence. Every movement became calm, precise, and disciplined. He analyzed instruments, calculated corrections, monitored altitude, and assisted the captain through emergency procedures exactly as he had done countless times during military service. Outside, the afternoon sky remained brilliantly blue, but inside the cockpit every second demanded perfect concentration. Back in the cabin, fear slowly transformed into silent hope. Flight attendants reassured passengers while quietly watching the cockpit door. Among them sat an elderly retired nurse named Eleanor, who comforted crying children with stories about courage. A young construction worker held the hand of a stranger too frightened to stop shaking. Without realizing it, dozens of ordinary people became examples of compassion during the most frightening moments of their lives. Thousands of feet below, emergency vehicles gathered beside the destination runway. Air traffic controllers cleared every surrounding aircraft, giving the struggling flight a direct approach. For Graham, the runway growing larger through the windshield brought back memories he had tried desperately to erase. Faces of lost friends appeared in his mind. The old guilt whispered that he would fail again. Then another memory rose above all the others. Clara laughing as she painted bright paper airplanes across her bedroom wall. Clara telling him she believed her father could do anything. Clara reminding him that brave people were not fearless. They simply chose love over fear. He tightened his grip. Not for glory. Not for medals. Only for his little girl waiting at home. Strong crosswind struck the aircraft during final approach. The plane rocked sharply from side to side. Passengers gasped as the runway seemed to drift away. Graham calmly coordinated every correction with the captain. Years of experience blended perfectly with teamwork neither man had expected to share. The wheels finally touched the runway. One bounce. Another correction. Then steady contact. Reverse thrust roared. Brakes engaged. The aircraft slowed until complete silence filled the cabin. For several long seconds nobody moved. Then applause erupted like thunder. Many passengers cried openly. Some embraced complete strangers. Others simply bowed their heads in grateful relief. When the cabin doors opened under the bright afternoon sun, emergency personnel greeted everyone safely. Reporters quickly surrounded the aircraft after learning that a former combat pilot had helped save the flight. Cameras searched for Graham, expecting a decorated celebrity. Instead they found a father quietly collecting his backpack. He slipped Clara's handmade birthday card back into its pocket before walking toward the terminal. He wanted no attention. Only to go home. News spread across the country anyway. Passengers shared stories about the humble man from Seat 8A who had never mentioned his past. Interviews praised his skill, but Graham repeatedly insisted that the captain, cabin crew, medical responders, and calm passengers all deserved equal recognition. He believed survival had been the result of many people choosing courage together. Days later Graham received a handwritten letter signed by nearly every passenger on the flight. Some thanked him for saving their families. Others admitted they had nearly given up hope until they learned someone had answered the captain's call. One little boy enclosed a crayon drawing of an airplane with the words, "Thank you for bringing my mommy home." Graham wept quietly while reading every page. The greatest surprise came several weeks later when the airline invited him to speak with young pilots about resilience, responsibility, and emotional healing. He almost declined, believing his story was nothing special. Then Clara looked up at him with the same unwavering faith she had always carried. She reminded him that surviving pain is not something to hide. Sharing hope helps others survive their own storms. That day Graham finally forgave himself. He understood that honoring those he had lost did not mean carrying endless guilt. It meant living with integrity, protecting others whenever possible, and embracing the future instead of remaining trapped in yesterday. Clara eventually completed her treatment successfully. Months later, under a bright afternoon sky, Graham watched her run across a grassy park with only the slightest limp. Every step felt like a miracle greater than any perfect landing. He realized life had quietly given him a second chance, not to become the man he once was, but to become someone even stronger. Before we reach the end of this journey, we'd love to hear from you. Please leave a meaningful comment telling us what you believe is the greatest act of courage: facing danger, forgiving yourself, or never giving up on the people you love. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. Sometimes heroes do not wear uniforms, seek applause, or expect recognition. Sometimes they are simply exhausted parents sitting quietly in seat 8A, carrying invisible burdens while hoping tomorrow will be kinder than yesterday. And sometimes, when the world asks who is willing to stand, the bravest person is the one who believed they never could again. In choosing hope over fear, Graham discovered that second chances are not gifts reserved for extraordinary people. They belong to every ordinary heart willing to rise when someone else needs them most.